Welcome back to the Clubroom. My name is Mark Moyer. This is all brought to you by Win Again. Thanks for being here. Super jazzed to have Nick Lewis in the house tonight. What an incredible athlete, but as far as I'm concerned, an even better person. And most importantly, he's just got such a fantastic idea that he's launching and has launched. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But just a quick little intro about him. He's was born and raised in Texas. That's right, Texas, that state way down south. It's always hot, and home of the Dallas Cowboys, who I openly detest. They beat my Giants, but wait, I'm digressing here a little bit. Anyway, attended high school in Texas, went to college at Southern Arkansas University, but then he joined the Calgary Stampeders back in 2004. Only spent 15 years in the league. Happens to be a Hall of Famer. He was elected to the Hall of Fame last year, 2021. Is the all-time leader in receptions in the CFL. He's got a 1,000 bajillion records, but 1,051 receptions, 13,778 yards, which is sometimes it feels like the distance between me and the kitchen. But anyways, that's fantastic. 70 some odd touchdowns. He retired back in 2018, and he came up with this idea that this whole notion of athlete-owned sports, AO sports. And what's really magnificent about it is that he's realizing that athletes create all this fantastic content, and sometimes they really aren't rewarded for it, right? So he's made this platform. I'm super excited to have Nick on board, so I'm going to invite him in right now, and we'll get the party started. But thank you all so much for being here. It's really cool doing it late at night again. I used to do these like earlier during COVID, late at night, and then I don't know. I feel like maybe I got early again. What the hell? Hello, Nick. Welcome
How's
to
it
the.
going?
Oh, fantastic. I'm not in New York City because no one in New York City has an apartment this big or whatever it is with looking like a rustic thing. It's my house up in the boonies. But tell everyone, Nick, because we all want to know, where are you located?
I am in Regina, Saskatchewan. I know it sounds pretty boring. It is.
I got to tell you something funny. You said that to me last time. This poor town. Do they even know you're their anti-ambassador? Like,
They should. You know what? They're like our rivals in football. When I played for Calgary, so when everybody meets me for the first time, or people come up to me, they start by saying, "I used to hate you, but," and that's just the way it is. It's kind of like this hate relationship, I guess, because they just don't like me here. And the reason I'm here is my family. So it's good reasons to be here. But right now, this is where I'm at. It is what it is.
it's funny. It's the equivalent of being a New Yorker and stuck to live in Boston or something, right? I guess, yeah, I would spend my day trashing Boston if I had the opportunity. Um, but anyway, so look, before we get into it, what I want everybody to notice is that, and we're going to add AO Sports soon to the roster, but we've got a bunch of people here that are with a bunch of different really cool sports tech companies, health and wellness companies, and so forth, and including my pal Kyle, who's the CEO of Brainlit. We've got just a wide variety of people here across the board. So thanks to everybody for being here. We all want to hear your story, Nick, and we also want to hear, more importantly, how you how you came about with this idea and with who you came about with, but also, where you see this going forward. So let me take a half a step back though, and ask you, you graduated college and then you had this opportunity to play football, professional football. At what point, like, what was the moment when you said, wait a minute, Calgary's in Canada? Wait, what? When did you first hear that? What was going on?
Well, to go through the story a little, even before that, being a Division II walk-on, as everybody knows, walk-ons don't get scholarships. So you basically are earning your way in just trying to go out there and be seen and make plays. And I was able to do that. But, going into my senior season in college, my dad was like, dude, you're not built for a 9 to 5. You better make this pro thing work. And like I'm coming out of Division 2. You're not thinking about playing pro football. And at the time I'd only thought about the NFL. It was never anything about the CFL or anything else that was in my mind. So it was really about, making it to the NFL. And um, I went all in and worked really hard that summer and went out, had a great senior season. Um, People were saying they're looking forward to seeing me on TV the next season. And the next day after my last game, I got calls from agents. And that's when I realized that it was a possibility to be there. I chose my agency. I left school early and went back home to Dallas and started working out and started working with my agency and a lot of training. I was training 4 or 5 days a week, sometimes twice a day to get ready for, pro day and get ready for the draft. Draft came and went. I didn't get drafted. I didn't get any free agent offers. Realizing as a young kid, you don't know what's going on, but knowing now you need to hire an agency that has connections and not just wanting to get into football. But going through that process, and I went to back to Arkansas for a workout for the not Division 2, but a Arena 2 football team. So I was thinking
Okay.
in my head, how am I going from projected 5th-round pick to the Packers to now going to play Arena 2 football for $200 a week? And I didn't want to do it. My mom was like, no, you're going to do it, and I'm going to watch you play for a long time. So I decided to go do the workout. And I did great in the workout. It ended up practicing with the team. They asked me to start that weekend. I said I had a workout for Calgary. Worked out for Calgary, and then that's how I became a Stampeder. Through the workout, they signed me 5 days before training camp. So I believe I was the last person signed to the roster then.
Wow. And had you ever seen any CFL football up until a point?
I seen one game. It was the Grey Cup on Fox Sports. I remember just flipping through the channels as a kid. I think it was 94, 95. Doug Flutie was the quarterback in Calgary, and I remember just watching part of that game in the snow, and I don't remember much about it. Never thinking that, 9-10 years later that I'm going to be playing for the same team that I was watching, and that was the only CFL game that I'd ever seen. Like I said, I don't even remember the game very much. I don't remember watching. I don't even know if I watched it all. Just watched a part of it. But that's the only time that I had any knowledge of the Canadian Football League.
And so, just real quickly for us ignorant Americans, can you describe to us what are some of the main differences between the two?
Main differences are 2 downs instead of 3 downs to get a first down. You're punting or kicking field goals on 3rd down. The field's 13 yards wider, 10 yards longer from goal line to goal line, so it's 110 yards instead of 100. Both end zones are 20 yards instead of 10, and the goalpost is at the front of the end zones and not the back. So a few differences there, and it's 12 men instead of 11 on the field. It's 20-second play clock instead of 40, so it's a little bit faster paced game, a lot more possessions back and forth. I find it to be a lot more entertaining because, this year at the Hall of Fame game, you had Calgary was down 27-3 right before the half, and Calgary scored right before the half and ended up winning the game, right? So you don't usually get too many backs like that in the NFL. I know what the Dolphins did against Buffalo, I think it was, or someone the last couple of weeks. So just seeing how those games work and all the CFL games, man, if you're not consistent, you're 2 and out, 2 and out, 2 and out. Next thing you know, the game's totally different.
Well, also, I think you told me also that the football's a little bit different, right?
Football's a little different. I think it's maybe a couple inches, a little fatter. So it does have a stripe where the NFL ball doesn't have a stripe. So a few little minor changes, but overall it's still football. It's still catching, tackling, and running and throwing.
Well, all I can imagine now, though, is that a bunch of the guys that invented the sport in Canada or updated or whatever they did with it, they were getting together, having a couple of beers, and said, "Hey, how can we really screw these guys over? Let's make them run 10 more yards." Like, hey Jimmy, what do you say? 110? Yeah, all right, sure, why not? Like what? It seems random, but hey,
What's crazy is, the Canadian game came before the American game, and the Canadian game was once removed from rugby. So rugby was the original sport. They changed some rules in rugby. Canada still has the 1 point of the rouge, and it's a
right.
rugby rule. So Canada is once removed from rugby, and then you look at the American game is two removed from rugby. So um, yeah,
Got it.
Tim's got it.
I know. I know. I'm watching that too. All right. Well, look. So you show up in Calgary. Tell me a little bit about the differences in, or was there much difference between? Look, Calgary's obviously a horse town and cowboy town, and you came from Texas. Were there adjustments to be made when you moved there, or not too much, or what was it like?
It was fun. It was different. I'm from small town Texas, a little place
Right.
called Jacksboro. I tell people I live more Friday Night Lights. I mean, Varsity
Hmm.
Blues. It was just one of those places where I won a lot of people, and my mom used to barbecue for the whole town after home football games. Then when I went to school in Magnolia, Arkansas, it was only 12,000 people in the whole town. So for the first time, I was in a place. Calgary had around 800,000 people when I got there. Now at 1.3 million. So uh, it was the first time I'd lived in a place that was that big. So that was a little adjustment getting used to, and just being on my own. Um, Arkansas was 5 hours from home, and this is in a different country, like a 28-hour drive if you want to be exact. But it was for the first time. It was just like, okay, you're out on your own, and it was fun. It was fun. I wouldn't say it's a huge adjustment. You just have to process what you're going there for, right? And understanding
Yeah.
that I was going there to get a job, and I wanted to make sure that everything I had focused on was maintaining that and achieving that.
Well, I think you did okay holding that job. You lasted, what was it, 12 years in Calgary, I think?
11 years in Calgary, three
11
in
years. Wow.
Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah. And but then you go to Montreal and you had to start working on your French.
Nope. Nope. Only we. So that's it. That's all I got for you in the French department, man. It is difficult living in Montreal without speaking French, but it's such a blast being there. It's such a blast being in Montreal.
Well, yeah, obviously a little bit different than Calgary for sure. So anyway, so you progress through your career. You're obviously look, if I didn't mention it already, you're the all-time leading receiver in CFL history, which is, you know what? Whenever you can say the words all-time next to anything, it's incredible. Like for example, I'm the all-time leader in victories in my household in ping pong, and that's incredible. There's nothing like that. I walk around all day with that. Anyways, but no, that's super impressive. So let's now talk about um, something that's near and dear to me, Nick. I'm a big fan of hearing stories about transition and as you went along in your career. I mean, you played for a long time, but you knew that at some point you were going to be retiring. Tell me a little bit about what you did or didn't do to prepare for that eventuality.
Yeah, when you're playing, I remember in 2012, I started a company with a teammate and a good friend of mine, Alif, and we started a company called Calm Before the Storm, which was being able to. We brought some reality stars to Canada. The
Hmm.
Brigade came up. We brought some more to Canada to do poker tournaments, be engaged with fans, do different things to raise money,
Hmm.
um, and it was really about closing that gap between the fans and the players. We had the show, we had the Lulu Lounge, but I just didn't have the resources to really execute that at a high level. So that was the media side of what I've always liked to do, and my dream job was coaching. Like, I mean, coming from where I come from, and people don't even really go play college football, I didn't never thought I was going to play pro football. So, really trying to position myself to coach, and in the understanding that I was good as far as coaching wise. I mean, everybody knew on my team and all the coaches that I was going to be able to coach. And before I went to Montreal, I actually had a coaching offer to coach receivers here in Saskatchewan before I signed to play in Montreal. So that was my path of what I was looking to do, and I just wanted to align myself in that business. And in 2019, I got that opportunity to coach for the BC Lions, and I enjoyed that. But when I was sitting there one day, and I just felt like I should be impacting more people. than the people in the room, than just the 50 to 60 men in the room on a daily basis.
Okay, so walk me through that thought process of, okay, so you say I need to impact more people, and then you're saying, well, how do I do that?
Yeah.
How did it evolve into AO Sports? Like, what was the progression there?
So a couple factors, coaching wise, you're coaching 14, 15, 16 hours a day. The time commitment to coach, CFL coaches don't make a lot of money. So being gone for 9 months and putting that time of work in and missing out on my daughter's life and my family's life to be there, and it's not making game changing money. So it makes a huge difference in our life. You just have to understand what's really what you value is important. Um, so when December came at the end of the season, I wanted to start a podcast, which I started in January of 2020. And I thought of the concept. And one of the concept pieces was I want to show people uh, how to do this, because after I retired, I actually pitched a show to TSN, which is ESPN in Canada.
Yep. Yep.
The executive producer, Paul Graham, he picked it up. He wanted to pick the show up. And I was like, great, I have a TV show that's going to be out on TSN. He's like, it's going to take 18 months for us to find a slot, get the sponsorship for it, do all those things. And I'm like, okay, what am I doing these 18 months? Well, I took the coaching job, so now the other job is off the table. But when I got back to Sask, I pitched a similar show to Paul Druin, who's now my chief content officer. And he's like, love it, let's do it. And that's where it really started. Was I was going to show people how to do it, how to own your own show. It was a CFL show. I was going to do it throughout the season. I was getting sponsorship for the show. I was close to finishing off the sponsorship for the show. So I pay Paul's team to do the show and I keep the rest, right? Simple math. And understanding that at the Grey Cup was going to be here in Saskatchewan. So I was going to bring in some players, talk to them about what I did. Well, COVID hits 2 months later, and the CFL season gets canceled in May. So now I can't show them. I just have to build it, right? And that's when I went into build mode and started really designing what it was going to look like, all the features that I thought it should have. And I went and pitched it to Paul. And I was like, if somebody's in media for 30 plus years and as a second generation broadcaster and owning his own media technology company for 20 plus years, if he understands it and he's like, yes, I'm in, we have something. And that was the first step.
That's awesome. So obviously it's been, actually that was what, just a couple of months into like mid 2020 sort of thing, or?
Yeah, so I ended up pitching it to Paul. First person is around probably June or July of 2020.
Okay.
And then I pitched it to a couple of my friends that are now on the advisory board. I pitched it to my brother-in-law, who's in oil and gas in Calgary, who's now our chief operating officer. And so really designing out the team to execute, from my chief tech we have chief tech, content, my CFO, and others. So half the team is in Calgary, or half the team's in Canada, and the other half is in the U.S. So it's really built on both sides of the border. And once everybody started getting on board with what we were doing and really started to see how they could impact it, that's when we started to really go to work. That's
great. So right now, I mean, I've been on this site. Well, first of all, before I go much further, tell everyone what the website address is.
So aosports.tv is the website. Right now we have a preview site up. It's just a basic WordPress site. There's not much there. There's a couple content pieces on there, but the full flexibility of the back end and what we're truly building, we haven't deployed yet, and we're looking to do that this year. Have our beta out this year and going into our launch early of 2023 for the official launch.
Got it. That's great. So explain to me now, because I know look, things like what I've been doing here has evolved over the course of time, where I first was looking for a community to be able to bring together athletes. And then it dawned on me that athletes like to hang out with business people and business people like to hang out with athletes. So then it evolved into more of a business and sports kind of a group, and then evolved into more of a connection and networking thing, and it evolves, right? So I think I'm sure you found with AO Sports that it's evolved and may continue to evolve. But tell me a little bit about, in your mind, who are the ideal content providers and who's the ideal user, customer?
So we look for athletes that have a desire to be in media, sports media,
Hmm.
or to do their own media. So we have some athletes that will be doing cooking shows. We have some athletes that are doing different things. We have families that are involved that they're detailing. Jake Reed, one of the former Minnesota Vikings players, and played with Randy Moss and Chris Carter. Him and his family are doing a channel. His son plays for the New York Giants. His daughter just graduated from Texas A&M in marketing. Him and his wife do charity all the time. So being able to highlight what they're doing in this reality world and being able to communicate it and showcase it is something that's really cool on how they can put that together. But really, from the athlete standpoint, anybody that wants to build a brand, understanding branding, and then anyone that's a subject matter expert that can come in and add value to the community. I always see it as a community and an ecosystem, but AO is really the vehicle, right, for the athlete or the creator, the vehicle to drive it and take it wherever you want to take it, and take it as far as you want to take it. I just believe that it truly helps the whole community.
So if I'm an athlete and I know how to, whatever, as you said, fill in the blank, so it doesn't necessarily need to be me showing someone how to shoot a 3-point, a 3-point shot or something. It could be I'm already a basketball player, but now I want to teach people how to throw an X or something. I don't know, whatever.
100%. So there's two sides of the platform. The first side is the content piece, right? So when you're an athlete, what we do is we sign an athlete. We've signed over 90 athletes now in 9 different countries. And what happens is we do an onboarding process and an activation. So we sit down with the athlete, understand what they're looking to accomplish and where they need help. So do they need help with production support,
Hmm.
sponsorship, marketing, branding? We're able to fill in the pieces to make sure that they can maintain great quality content at all sides. And we have a great understanding of the partnership from day one. And then we just execute it together. The other side of the platform is AO Evolve, and that's your access to inspiration and knowledge, and giving people the true opportunity to be successful, right? Whether that's sports specific training from athletes that want to provide it, that's fitness and from top sports gyms and trainers, mental health and nutrition, understanding, we're in this battle of mental health, and understanding your nutrition plays a huge part of that.
Right.
But finding value, right? Finding value in our community, professional development, which I call being a pro in life, right? We get to these points and understanding, like, for me to be a pro football player, consistency was key, right? Being consistent in your attitude and your effort has to be the biggest thing that you do at all times, and understanding that, it's not always going to be great. It's never going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it, right? And you have to go do these things. And we've brought on Dr. Rob Kelly, who has a 97% addiction recovery success rate. Um, we have transition experts. We have mental health experts. We have a yoga instructor from Germany. We have a breath work expert from Latvia. So bringing all these people together, financial literacy, and being able to teach and educate and inspire. And then we have mentorship and leadership programs as well that these athletes and these subject matter experts are going to be able to come in and run through the platform. From a pay-per-view standpoint, not only being, Pamela Bellato's here as well, and what she's going to be doing with women and empowering women on the platform is going to be amazing as well. And just understanding that pay-per-views don't have to just be boxing and MMA events. It could be a coaching
Right.
club. It can be
Sure.
a health seminar. It could be public speaking, Empower Me series that we're going to be doing. So there's just so many opportunities to do things virtually. And then we're going to get into the communities with the AO Sports Impact Foundation and really impact communities.
That's all great. So, look, it sounds pretty big. It's a huge undertaking, but it
Yeah.
sounds like it's a home for athletes to really be able to showcase themselves where they're not necessarily forced to, I'll say, monetize on such a minute level from the other channels like YouTube and Instagram and whatnot, right? I mean, talk a little bit about how the athlete gets monetized here.
Yeah, two of the things I looked at. One is understanding when I started my podcast. I believe in practice. So, what was the podcast for? The podcast for me to practice interviewing people, practice getting comfortable doing these different things. So that was my practice for my show, and understanding the evolution of what I wanted to create. But just looking at that in Cameo, where you have all these athletes um, getting requested to say happy birthday, getting requests, and I don't knock anybody for doing Cameo. I have a lot of friends that do Cameo, but I personally, I just think it's embarrassing, right, for someone to get paid to say happy birthday or to need to do those things. But we can create a system in a world that we can be helpful to people and that we can be a guiding light to people, but also we can reap rewards for doing things in a much bigger scale than just a simple happy birthday or different things like
Right.
that. And what we do is a little different. YouTube, you get paid $4.18 per 1,000 views. Where we come in, we do a revenue share with the athlete for memberships. So when that athlete brings on their own members to the platform, converts them over from social media, they get a revenue share. So if you bring 1,000 um, members into the platform, well, you're making now $1,750 a month, right? You bring 10,000 members, you're making almost $18,000 a month, right? There's no limit to how many people you can bring on, and you just keep getting paid. But then you have leverage because not only do they get your content, they get access to all the athletes' content on the platform. So it's not just about you; it's about the team, and we take all the analytics from the platform. How many people came to your channel? How many people watch your content? How long they watched it? Everything like that. And we turn that into sponsorship opportunity where we work with you to bring on sponsors, and we pay out 75% of the sponsorship back to the athlete or the creator. Right. So it's really putting more money into the hands of the people creating the content so that they can create more content and better content. Right. You look
Wait a
at
second. More for them and less for you, Nick? What's going on?
100%.
All right. Oh, you're doing it out of 100% because other people do it out of 150%. So I'm just curious. So you're doing it, you know,
Always, right? And that's one of the biggest things. You just got to understand what's the importance, right? Feeling important, understand the value of team and how the team can really truly be together.
now, so let me so I can understand this and maybe explain it better to everybody else. So if I'm on Cameo, where, as you can imagine, I get a lot of requests on a daily basis for people that want me to wish them happy birthday because I'm a ping pong champion and all. Now I can actually go on your platform and show people how to play ping pong, especially championship ping pong level playing it.
100%. Or you can
Right?
create your own reality show, right? So we're gonna start working with high school and college athletes
Oh,
on
great.
and putting them with an assistant producer and
Hmm.
showing them how to schedule it out, what to shoot, kind of topics to talk about until they get comfortable doing it. And then these kids are going to be creating their own shows, right? And now you can partner them together to maximize that effect. So it's about being able to do those things to really empower people to be successful. I mean, athletes are already driven to be successful. They just need
Sure.
guidance and they need
Yeah.
structure. So if you can provide the guidance and the structure, the work ethic and everything else is already there.
Tell me a little bit about the user, the person paying the $7 a month. What is it that they can expect to find, or what can they? I mean, look, it sounds to me like $7 is basically nothing.
That's it.
So I
I wanted
know.
to be for everybody, right? I
Yeah.
wanted everybody to come in. But the Evolve section, for the
Mm,
people that provide it, they're going to get to choose their prices. I want to turn it kind of more like a Groupon, understanding let's not charge a bunch of money. Let's make it to more people can be a part of it. We'll utilize the AO Sports Impact Foundation to sponsor people to be a part of programs and do things because ultimately the whole goal is for you to be able to be successful as well. Everyone having value in our community. So from a member standpoint, not only are you going to get discounts from our sponsors when you come. So let's say you sign up and we have Nike as a sponsor. Well, you're going to get 20% off Nike discount code for that month, or 20% off Starbucks, or whatever the case. So we're going to be able to give you more value for what you're coming for. And we're just looking to increase the opportunity for you to watch the content you want to watch, see your favorite athletes, watch great sports like Fireball Extreme Challenge, but also be able to win chances to go to these events, right? Going to Rome to watch the World Sports Games, or going to the Super Bowl and being a part of our VIP events, or going to different events around different sports around the world, right? So we're going to create this atmosphere where even dream trips, people getting to go on their sports dream trips to go watch their favorite team they never thought they'd be able to go see. So it's all about being able to come together in a community and everybody wins. The athletes get the money that they've always needed and wanted. They have the structure to be successful. The fans are getting the access, getting the opportunity for experiences and memories, and sponsors are getting seen. So if you look at it from every angle, every person actually wins. There's not one person that says, I don't win in this situation.
So I just jumped in a Q&A just real quick, and Jackson has a very good question. He's saying, you know, are there any platforms like this for athletes that you'd be competing with? So go ahead and answer that, and then I have a follow-up on that.
Well, there's platforms out there that have you to, from a content standpoint, right? Create content. There's Patreon. There's, we know, OnlyFans. You have other opportunities out there where they've created it. Players TV, which is a group of NFL and WNBA and NBA players that come together to create Players TV. They don't really have a monetization system. It's a 50-50 sponsorship split, and they're looking for distribution, but they could be on AO Sports. Players TV could have their own channel on AO Sports. ESPN could have its own channel on AO Sports, right? So being able to be collaborative in this space, but to empower people. And I feel like most people just create the same thing, call it a different name, and give a little bit more percentage. What we're doing is really changing the game and really empowering people to be your own CEO, be your own boss. And, you know, one of the things that I love most about this is we have a death clause in our contracts. So your family will continue to get paid if something happens to you, right? We're truly changing the generational wealth gap, and we'll be able to do that because people are building not just for today. And it's truly a value asset of what we're building and what we're bringing. And when people want to be a part of this, and when we take over everywhere, how powerful is that going to be when everybody's winning all over? And you can go for positivity. Everything's just not negative, right?
Now that would be a nice little change, wouldn't it? That'd be great.
It would.
Now, in terms of outreach to the athletes and so forth, what's your strategy on reaching out to, you know, whatever, Jeter, Steph, whatever, you know, et cetera?
So right now we've started the advisory board through their connections and through my connections in the sports world. We've been really organic in meeting people. So I always said everybody wins. So the advisory board, we have 6 athletes, including like Dr. Jen Welter, the first female coach in the NFL, who's now coaching in the XFL in Vegas. And so I'm a huge supporter of Dr. Jen and what we're going to be able to do for women and women's sports, and enhancing their voice in sports and outside of sports. But just understanding that everything's been organic, just through personal relationships. We've created an ambassador role, which the ambassadors are people that don't create content but have connections in the sports world. They can connect us to those athletes. So let's say an ambassador comes on. So one of our ambassadors is Noah Chrome, who is the agent of Paulo Banchero, the #1 NBA draft pick, right? He comes on. Let's say he brings Paulo on board to be a creator of content. Paulo now, let's say he brings 1 million people to the platform. Well, Paulo's now making $1.75 million a month on AO Sports, but Noah's also making $140,000 a month on AO Sports, right? So everybody's winning. Everyone's winning at the end of the day. And we're just sharing wealth, right? Why not create 1,000 millionaires instead of being a billionaire, right? Why not enhance the lives of so many others? Because if we can keep it going month after month, there's no reason to need that much or do that much. And when we can impact so many.
Excellent. All right, Adam has a question. He says, would you consider partnering with a physical hub, a venue being developed in New York City right now called the National Sports Museum, to launch and showcase your content? sign people up for subscriptions on site and so forth. So, as you can
Love that.
imagine, people would walk in and you have, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 visitors a day, and there's, sports right in front of them and a big screen and so forth, and they can sign up right away. Yeah,
That's it.
I like it
And
too.
that's what we,
Yeah.
we we love to do, right? It's we look at AO Morning as our daily morning show that we're gonna bring out. We will be doing our own content from reality shows, documentaries. AO Morning, it will be a topical sports show, just like you see on ESPN and Fox
Hmm.
Sports. But there's going to be a section in it talking about what's inside the platform, who's coming, content coming. We bring you on. You talk about, hey, Mark's got this event. Mark, tell us about the event. We're going to be in over 4 million homes in Canada and US. We'll be in 89 US airports every morning. And we're just looking for more places to expand AO Morning. We'll be on Facebook and YouTube and also be inside of the platform. So we're just looking for ways to distribute that and then just to bring people in on revenue shares and so everyone's going to win.
Now, Jackson had a follow-up question. He says, do you think that agents will be all over this, or are they going to be weary of it? I mean, they all like to get their cut.
So we've talked to Wasserman Agency. We've talked to William Morris Endeavor. They both love what we're doing, right? They're two of the biggest agencies in the world. We've had agents reach out to us and say, can we use this as a promotion tool for our athletes to let them know that we have another way to make you money, where you're going to be in control and we're going to help push it out to the masses to increase how much money you're going to make. All you have to do is be a part of the creation of the content, right? So agents love this and they love the, hopefully they're still going to take their cut out of the athletes piece. I know when the athletes are current, but they'll still get their 2% on the side. So hopefully they save a little bit of that money they're taking from the athlete on their cut and put it back to their family. So we'll see.
That's a pretty funny one. Anyway, I'm joking. No, at the end of the day, I think that any way that, and look, some athletes, their content's questionable at best, but then lots of it has, a lot of them, so many of them have such fantastic stuff that they're doing that, it sometimes gets lost on YouTube or lost in Instagram or lost on TikTok and so forth. And I think this could be a really fantastic platform and a mechanism for not just fans, but also people that may want to look for potential, endorsers for their product, right? Or, I mean,
It's
there's so
like
much business, right? Yeah.
singular, right? Singular.
Yeah.
But on AO, once you choose your athlete that brought you to the platform, you choose your sports preferences. What sports do you like? You choose those. We filter you those athletes. So maybe I bring 2,000 people to the platform. I'm making $3,500 a month, but through the filtering system and our tagging system, you're getting 20,000, 30,000 views a month, or whatever it is, a piece of content. We're able to monetize that. So even if somebody says we get 5 companies to pay $5,000 each, 25,000, 75% of that's going in your pocket. So not only are you making the 3,500, now you're making the money off that, right? And to be a part of events. So what we're doing with FXC and being able to advertise at events, advertise when we send it out on social, advertise on the platform, it just enhances the sponsorship opportunity. And now when you're doing your charity or community events, these companies are making an impact in the communities, right? It's not just wear my shirt or say I love Nike or, all those different factors. We're able to put impact with it.
That's great. So at what point are you, I mean, you're saying toward later this year, but, do we, like, let's say I'm an ambassador, am I supposed to be starting now to refer athletes in, or are you not ready for that yet? Or what's the timing like?
So right now, like I said, we have 90 plus athletes signed to the platform.
Okay.
We're looking to close our funding hopefully in the next 10 days. And from that point, we'll be 30 days out from launching our beta. And we'll slow launch the beta with 20 to 25 athletes and then a new set every week, probably 5 to 10 athletes weekly through the beta process. So referring athletes is anytime. I love to sit down and have conversations. They can start game planning what they're looking to do. We have a partnership with a company called IdleCam, which does 4K quality content. You can do Bluetooth mics to it and everything else. So looking at doing a startup kit with content, set design, everything, green screen, lighting. You're looking at $1,000 to $2,000 for a lot of these people to activate and produce content like it's on ESPN, or produce content like it's on these major networks, and become your own boss, right?
That's
We
awesome.
are a media company. If you wanted to go interview people after a game, we can get you media passes. Now we can have
Hmm.
athletes interviewing athletes and doing different things, and be a part of the world. So it just creates better content, and that's where we want to go to, is the freedom and the ability to be empowered.
Now, McKenna asks, do you have lesser known sports and athletes on the platform, or is it mostly just the mainstream ones? And we talked about this. So yeah, go ahead and tell everyone about the sports.
No, we want every sport. We have two of the top 10 racquetball players in the world, and they are so awesome. They're just amazing people, Erica and Adam, that travel the U.S., putting on events, playing for Team USA, that traveling the country, the different countries. We're looking for multiple athletes from different sports. We have a cheer and dance coach that was a cheerleader for two NFL franchises. She has a school out in LA that she's doing some amazing work, working with young ladies, and really empowering them through dance and learning and everything that they're doing. So we're looking to bring on people from multiple sports. Like, there's no sport that we're not trying to bring people, because you have an audience, right? And we want to enhance your audience and get people to learn more about your sport, right? One
That's
thing
cool.
that we know is ESPN, Fox Sports, all these companies, they put on sports. They don't tell stories. We want to tell your story. We want to enhance you, not just the sport you play or you partake in.
That's really cool. All right. One more question from our Q&A section, and I've got a couple more. But Jackson once again asks, is there a game plan for NCAA athletes now that they can make dollars, NIL-wise and so forth?
Yeah, so we just did a mock-up channel for Micanopy, which is the Florida State Collective. So these companies have built these collectives from donors and alumni and sponsors, because they can't pay you to come into a college and play. But what they can do is they can create these collectives, and they need ways to activate paying you. So now they can create their own shows on AO Sports, highlight their athletes, and pay them for it. Right. So it's a perfect opportunity for those colleges to do those things. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the Drive to Survive F1 series on Netflix.
Yep.
But what Netflix does is they go in, they film it, they edit it, they create the storylines. Max Verstappen doesn't want to be a part of it anymore because he feels like the storylines are false. But that's for us to now go to Max and say, hey, why don't you create your own? You own it, you control it, you produce it, we distribute it, you monetize it. Right.
Nice.
And it's just like perfect partnerships to work with colleges, to work with like these young students that's out here doing it already. They just need to do it in a way to really generate revenue.
Right. So now the trick is how to get through to Max. That might be a tough one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like that, though. This is fantastic. All right. So I'm going to ask a pretty, it's maybe a little tough to answer, but maybe not. When do you think this really hits the big time, give or take? Like, really, people, it's like, hey, did you see what's on AO now? That kind of thing.
Yeah, just looking at the trends, you look at Tiger King, 14 million people joined Netflix just to watch Tiger King. Squid Games increased Netflix bottom line by $900 million. I mean, you look at some of these impact pieces. For us to be able to tell stories, create reality shows, create some of these things, you never know what it's going to be, right? I know we're working on a show right now with Mike Singletary, and we're working on another show with Tommy Harris. And so we're working on some shows right now that we're going to help produce and do. We never know what show it's going to do that people are going to be like, hey, go watch this. And it's truly going to be that difference maker. Because we're going to be authentic and real, right? You're not coming to AO to hear somebody say some cookie cutter stuff, right? You're going to have authenticity from people telling their life story and their journeys. Everything doesn't have to be negative, but everything also doesn't have to be sugar coated, right? Because
So
we
when
want
you
to be.
but let's say I'm one of the athletes producing content, do you have right of first edit or control over the content, or are you letting everything go?
So we have it no hate speech, right?
Hmm.
We're doing this as a branding opportunity, right? Understanding that your branding is around what you're trying to create, and that's a legacy,
Right.
right? We're not trying to come on. I'm not. I don't really like to get into politics and religion. I'm very religious. I don't really care about politics. I think whatever is whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of that really we're going to be a part of that. We'll have FCA and all those companies be a part of the platform, but we want to understand what your true value asset is, and we're not for everybody. We're not for every athlete. We're not going to
Hmm.
hold your hand and beg you to create content, right?
Right. Right.
You have a goal, what you set out. We sit down and we talk, and that's part of the activation, right? And there's some people that might not be a good fit for AO, and that's why there is YouTube and other places that they can go and you know distribute their content the way they want to do it. But we want this to be a branding opportunity, and we want people to and also create collaboration. I talked to an agent in Africa, and he was like, if my cricket player and soccer player could come to the U.S. and take pictures with some of your athletes, they would be megastars here. Well, let's do it.
Nice.
I'm not. That's the opportunity, right? Creating the opportunities.
So before I ask you my last question in a second or two, is there anything you want to throw in here that we haven't covered yet that you'd like to add?
No, I just think it's just such a great space. But when we always talk about creating it, and I always look at when you think of a community, when you go into a community, you look for you're going to look for health, you're going to look for fitness, there's going to be a banking institution, and you're going to
Hmm.
look for entertainment. Those are pretty much the four things, right? And those are the four things that we're going after, and we're going to attack. Um, and the banking institution is on the way, and that's something that's coming in the near future that really is going to empower people even more at a higher level. But those are the things that we're looking to be virtual and global in the aspect of creating this world of how we can all come together.
Nice. I love it. This is really exciting because, I've been doing these things for a while now. I had a podcast a few years ago, and now I've done almost 100 of these events here. And it's really fascinating to speak to people at this stage and then to follow up a few months later and just see how far you've grown. So I'm really excited about this, Nick. This is fantastic.
Appreciate it. I heard a quote not too long ago. It says, "It's
Yeah.
your God-given right when you were born to be abundant." Like, we're supposed to be abundant. We're supposed to be thriving. We're not supposed to be struggling. The system's set up that way now, but together we can change it, right?
Nice. I love it. My last question to you, and this is an easy one, maybe. Three people on the planet, dead or alive, that you could have dinner with tonight, tomorrow. Who would they be?
Three people. One, I would say my grandfather. Um, I lost him early in my football career, and he was somebody that was so influential to me because he worked so hard every day, and just so he could be a part of this because of everything that he's done. Um, man, there's so many great people. I'll stick to people that are alive now
Sure.
um, because I think it'll be easier to break it down that way. But just looking at everything that I've wanted to create um, and build, looking at people that have truly impacted the lives of so many people. What Deion Sanders is doing right now
Hmm.
at Jackson State, where he's empowering people, he's really changing it. You see his name. All these colleges now want him to come to. They're talking about him going to these big name colleges, but he's getting 5-star athletes there. I seen today or yesterday, he's talking about his son up for the Heisman. I mean, could you imagine if someone from HBCU won the Heisman,
Oh yeah, of course,
or
incredible.
even that serious consideration? I just think that the way that he's changed the tide, and you see how his players, Travis Hunter, the 5-star, who turned down Florida State to go there, cried, hugging him before his first game. That's impact, man. That's where you really truly make that difference. And so I'd say Dion. Who would be the last one? My favorite athlete I already know. So I'm trying to think of people I don't personally know that it would be such an opportunity to sit down with. I mean, there's so many names that runs through your head.
Well, we haven't had dinner yet,
I'll
so
say this.
yeah.
Oprah. I'd love to sit down with Oprah.
You're going to be crying in 5 seconds or less, though. She's she's going to say something right off the bat. Remember the time you like stepped on a frog and you killed it? Anyway, I don't know.
I just think it's
Anyways,
such. But she's another person that you look at just the global impact of what she had and where she came from to build what she built.
That's
right?
fantastic.
You can help me miss some steps, or at least Stedman could.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Exactly. Well, look, thank you so much for being here, Nick. This has been fantastic. I think everybody's had an opportunity to hear. I think the enthusiasm in your voice and your energy, and obviously you're a super smart guy. You're very ambitious. You're also, tons of energy, and we all know that athletes have an incredible work ethic. And I think what you're doing is you're leveraging not just the success that you had as in the CFL, but more importantly, the ethic that you developed as an athlete, the mindset and the skill set into what you're doing now. And I think that, I mean, I'm excited to see how I can be involved with AO Sports, because I see a lot of upside and potential, and I don't always say that with the companies that I've spoken to and so forth. So congratulations on all of that. I was going to say congratulations on all your success, but I think
Yes,
that's
sir.
still to come, right? So
One of the biggest
yeah,
things that, and I went back and talked to my college real quick, but I don't see success and failure. I don't think it exists until you die. I just think that as long as there's time on the clock, or as long as you have breath, you can, like, failure's bound to happen, but it's not failure until it's over, because you always have time to correct it or change it or improve it or enhance it, whatever you need. You always have a chance to do that, right? When you lose a game, you only lost a game because the time ran out. That's the only reason you lose. You were losing when the time ran out. Like, you didn't, like, it's not like an infinite thing. You only lost because time ran out, right? So understanding how you view failure is just something that you just keep going every day to improve what you want to become or who you want to be.
that's perfect. Almost like time heals all wounds, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The longer that goes on, you always have a chance to redeem yourself and to succeed. But most importantly, it's, to me, all about making a positive impact, and
That's it.
again, seeing how you can elevate everybody else around you. So, um, well, anyway, fantastic. I'm really thrilled to have met you, Nick, and to know you. And you're a great guy and a lot of fun. And I'm really excited for what you're doing. Looking forward
Appreciate it.
to seeing that grow over the course of time. And best of luck going forward, Nick. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Look forward to having you be a part, and others on the call. It's just going to be amazing to be a part of. It's going to be a great journey.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much.